So this is from Cyril, who lives, I hope I pronounced his name right, he lives in Indonesia. The question is about Messianic Judaism. And the question is Messianic Judaism a form of Judaism? How do we feel about that? And just the whole issue of, can a Jew believe in Jesus? So before we kind of get into kind of answering this question, I just want to say real quick, this is no condemnation of Christianity.
Correct.
At all.
Right.
All world religions have something to share with the world,
right.
and we should be respectful of that.
Right. We've got nothing against anyone and their personal beliefs. That's absolutely up to them. And there's no judgment on our part whatsoever.
Right.
Having said that, there are certain things that need to be taken into account when you're going to answer a question like this. Number one, I'd say the most important would be the 13 Articles of Faith listed by Maimonides, and the 12th of which is the belief in the coming of the Jewish Messiah, which means that the Jewish Messiah has not arrived yet. And these are articles that are pretty much taken as standard by nearly every. They're considered obligatory by, Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox.
Right.
But generally, every denomination of Judaism accepts these, and that's one of them.
Right.
So when you say that, you say absolutely that no, you honestly cannot believe that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah if you are to remain a Jew.
Right. Now, if you want to believe that he is the Christian Messiah, that's perfectly acceptable.
Right.
That's absolutely right.
Right. And if you believe that Jesus is the Messiah, that he's the Christ, then you are a Christian.
Right.
So my question about this comes to, what is being a Christian? What is there about being a Christian that you don't like?
Right.
I mean, it's understandable to want to celebrate the Jewishness of Jesus.
Because Jesus was Jewish, historically, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So why not embrace Christianity instead of embracing Judaism or the trappings of Judaism as a form of Christianity?
Right. And I've had two experiences with this. The first was a friend of mine who was raised in an interfaith family. Her mother was not a Jew and her father was, and she was sort of raised as a Messianic Jew. She was taught to say that. And part of why that was is that her mother later in life began to believe in sort of very fundamentalist Christianity, that if you didn't believe in Jesus, you were going to go to hell and things of that nature. So for some people, it's a reconciliation. And I actually, now that I think about it, I've had several friends who have had that issue. It's something that happens, I think, particularly in the South, because you have a very strong Christian population, and it's not like New York or Chicago where there's a very strong Jewish population that's sort of, for lack of a better word, culturally its own thing. Exactly. So, that's one particular issue. The other is this idea, like you were mentioning, of people trying to sort of get back to what they think might be an earlier form of Christianity, like a Jewish Christianity. And the thing about that is, and I am not a Christianity expert, it seems like, yes, the early Christians were Jews, but they were also Gentiles. And the idea of Christianity is that it opened certain ideas within Judaism to non-Jewish people. I met someone whose, I think it was her nephew, said that he was raised a Baptist and has now become a Messianic Jew. And I have to wonder if that's because maybe they like the Jewish culture, they like the Hebrew, they like sort of the, the hats and all that stuff, the beards and all that, but, still have that sense that they want to involve this sort of Jesus concept in there. And the Dalai Lama, of all people, said something, which was, you should probably stick with the faith that you grew up in, if that works for you.
Right.
And I think that's my argument that I would make, is that if you're a Christian and you want to know more about Judaism, then explore Judaism, but don't combine the two together.
Right, and exploring it and bringing parts of it into your life, I think, or understanding. You can learn from anything. You can learn from any spiritual practice and make it apply to you. But that doesn't mean that you have to do that. I could appreciate Buddhist meditation. Doesn't mean I'm going to light incense before an altar of the Buddha. But I can learn the style or the information that inspires that. So you can take these things. So do I think it's proper for a Christian to rep fill-in
Right.
or things like that. I don't think so.
Right.
Because that not only is that taking something that is not necessarily theirs,
Right.
it's also almost saying in a way that there's something about what they do believe
Right.
that's not good enough.
Right. Right.
And I think that's where the problem comes
Right.
in, is that
Right.
it's kind of saying there's something about their problem
Right.
is
Right.
that there's something that they believe that doesn't match up or that
Right.
they feel is inconsequent.
Right.
And
Right.
that, I think, should really be what they address.
Sure. Sure.
You know, and to help develop what they believe spiritually, like
Right.
the Dalai Lama said.
Right.
And
right.
work on what is true for you
Right.
in that way
Right.
spiritually.
Right.
So,
Right.
so, you know, Christianity's cool, whatever.
Right.
You know,
But it's
that's-
not for Jews.
Right. Jews for Jews.
Yeah.
Jews for Judaism.
Yeah.
Which is a cool resource. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever seen
I have.
it.
Right. We should check it out. All right. So thank you for your question. I
Yes,
hope it
thank
helps.
you.
And if you have any more, you know how to get in touch with us.